Alright, we're back with our next video. In this video I'm going to talk about Dreamweaver and the capabilities of Dreamweaver and what you can do with it and help you set up your files in Dreamweaver. Dreamweaver is a web authoring tool. I like to tell people to think of it, since as we transition from Notepad to Dreamweaver and the web design class, to think of it as just a fancier version of Notepad or a fancier version of TextEdit or Notepad++. It's just a text editor, okay? It's not magically going to make you a website, although it does have some cool capabilities that I'll show you in the next video. But it's just a text editor, right? That's all it is. Think of it as just a tool that has more features than just plain old Notepad and more features than Notepad++, but that's all it is. Alright, so here's Dreamweaver. I already have it open. You'll notice you can't really see everything because I'm in a really low resolution here. It'll look better on your screens if you have it open. What I'm going to show you how to do first is how to set up the files that you've already created. So in this scenario, we've already created our our files, of course, for this class. So I'm just going to show you how to go ahead and open these up in Dreamweaver. You could just go to File and open your index file, and it would work just fine. But it's nicer to set up your site so that Dreamweaver knows where all your files are to begin with, and then you can just work with them through Dreamweaver. I'll show you what that looks like. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go to Site. Okay, you need to go to New Site. You're going to set up your website in Dreamweaver. And this is a very simple one-step process now. All you're going to do is you're going to name your website. And you can name this whatever you'd like. Alright? This isn't necessarily the name of your root folder. This is just the name you're going to see in Dreamweaver when you go to find your website. Okay? Because you can have multiple websites in Dreamweaver at once. I have like 20 that I run at any given moment for all my clients, so I just set up a name that makes sense. And then you're going to tell it where it's located. So you're going to click on this folder to the right of this box here. Okay, it gives you an unnamed folder to begin with, but we're going to change this. Okay, so I'm going to click on the Browse button, and I'm going to go find my root folder. Okay, in this case, the root folder we've been working on is my name. That's what I named my root folder. So I'm going to double click on this, and here's my CSS page and my images page. Don't worry about not seeing your HTML files. This is just showing you folders. That's all we're trying to do, is find a folder. So this is the root folder. Okay. And there's some other settings here you can mess with, and if you happen to understand what those are, feel free to mess with them. But all you really need to get this to work is to set up the location of the site. So no need to mess with any of this other stuff. That's more advanced. All we really need to do is what we've done here, which is set up the location of our files. Right, and then you hit save. Now it looks like I've already set up that file name, so let's pick a different name here. I've actually already done this once for this class on my end, so this is just telling me that I've already done it, and I'm sharing this folder with another site. So you won't get this message, but I'm getting it because I've already set this up once before. But it's okay. I'm doing it again just to show you guys how this works. And there we go. You get this. It won't look like a pop-out like it does here because my resolution is so small. It'll be in this tab over here on the right-hand side under the Files tab. This shows you all the files inside of your root folder. Okay, so there's my navigation, my index, my clear property files, my images, and my CSS folder. And this is no different than looking in your file structure on your Mac or your PC through your Explorer. Okay, so here's all the files that we have inside the root folder. Same thing as looking at it in here. Okay, and if you look, they all match. Okay, here's all the same files. They're inversed because just with the order that I have them placed here. So there you go. So now they're in the exact same order. Okay, so the cool thing is now I can just work through here. I don't need to go find my files every time I want to open something up. I can just double click on a file here and it magically opens in Dreamweaver. Okay, and Dreamweaver has a couple of different views. It might by default start in design view, or it might start in code view. These three tabs up here give you some options. So here's the code, okay, that we've been working on. Same exact code. It color codes things kind of like Notepad++ does, so you can see if there's some errors because the colors will change on you. Other thing you'll notice, and this is just happening because of my resolution being small, is my text is getting pushed over. You'll see that it's just the word wrap is turned on. But that doesn't mean that that's what it's going to look like. In HTML, white space is handled by collapsing down to one space, so really I can have multiple lines here that's still the same. It's not going to change anything. Okay, that's just word wrap, so you can ignore it in this case, and it probably won't look like that on yours. because your resolution will be bigger. Alright, all our tags are here, right? As long as all this stuff is fine, don't worry about what the word wrap looks like. Okay, so that's how you set up a file in Dreamweaver, and there's a few different views. You can go split view, and again, my resolution's small, so this kind of sucks. But you could make changes on the right side of the screen here in your design view. So I can make changes here, right, in the design view, and it'll appear on my code side. So you can work in either view. I would recommend doing most of your changes in code view or working strictly in code view. Sometimes you make changes on the design side, especially when you start deleting things from the design side. It doesn't always get rid of the tags exactly as you would expect, or it doesn't exactly place the tags in the order you expect. So work mainly in code view. Go to split view if you want to see changes as they happen. The other thing to take into account is what Dreamweaver shows you in the design view isn't necessarily what you're going to see in the browser. It's best guess as to what the browsers are going to show you. So don't just go by what Dreamweaver shows you. Do test it in different browsers. The other cool thing is I can click on all of my divs here individually, and it highlights them for me, and it gives me their properties. So it has a padding of 15 pixels on bottom, padding on 15 pixels on top. If I just hover over it, it shows me all the properties and values that it has in the CSS file. Okay, I'm going to pull it back up there. So you can see I've given this div an ID. It's a div, it's got a width and a height, and that's all it's got set up. Right? So it's kind of cool that way. You can actually see some of the properties and values that these have set up. You can highlight these. This is my container. It's 800 pixels wide. So it just gives you more information, and the more information you can see visually, the easier it is to work with your files. Down here at the bottom there's a properties tab, so anything you highlight you can change. So in this case this is an H1 tag. I can change it to H2 through H6. I can just click on paragraph and it's going to change to a paragraph instead of an H1. I can change the class, and if I had classes set up in my CSS file they would appear here, and I can just simply select it and say apply this class to this. And I have my link options where I can just link to files. So all kinds of cool things that are kind of like just press a button and get them to work, that you can do with Dreamweaver rather than typing out the code. But it's always good to know the code. That way when you make changes to the code side you know what's happening, as opposed to just hoping that Dreamweaver got it right, because Dreamweaver isn't perfect. It does a really good job, but it isn't perfect. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Always good to understand your code. The other thing I could tell you is don't be afraid to push buttons, and nothing's gonna break. Okay. One last thing here is I'm in source code view, but if I have a CSS page attached, it actually opens it with the source code. So it opens it with my HTML file right here. In this top tab I can see both. So if I make changes to the CSS, I can simply switch back and see the changes happen in my HTML side. Okay. So there's one more video on Dreamweaver, and we're going to talk about some of its capabilities here in a second.